Hello and welcome to the Gamers Health live stream. With me is my lovely wife, Rach.
Hello.
I am Tenkar, sometimes known as Eric, but hey, who cares, right? So listen, there's a couple of things that we're going to as I forget where I am and I go out of screen. There's a couple of things we're going to probably want to.
Come on over.
I'm sorry, darling. I'll just move my ass a little bit closer on the chair.
Of course.
There we go.
Fabulous.
So there's a couple of health-related stuff that we're going to touch upon. This was an interesting week in a way because I'm on a couple of relatively expensive medications if they're not covered by insurance. For my type 2 diabetes, I'm on Jardiance, which has gotten me off the injectables. 2 thumbs up. But if it's not covered by your insurance, it can be cost prohibitive. For my heart and for my stents, I am on Brilinta and Entresto. And Brilinta and Entresto were running me, I want to say about $550 a piece every 3 months. They were expensive. That was after insurance. And you had to go through, in my case, OptumRx because they are.
And that's $550.
$550. Not $550. $550. And this is after the insurance discount.
Just because there was that confusion that your mom had.
Yes.
She's like, 550.
So what happened was I managed to get the Brilinta. I finally got the prescription insurance to recognize the Brilinta discount card, which took my cost down to $25 every 3 months. 2 thumbs up.
Woo-hoo.
That happened back in December. The Entresto, they changed. My cardiologist upped my dosage when he did. It's a medication that's given twice a day. There was an administrative problem. I'm not sure whether it's on his end or on the prescription end when they filled it, but they filled it for 1 per day. So I actually had to take 2. So 90-day prescription only good for 45 days. So when I called, bless you. When I looked at my app and I saw they wanted to charge me nearly $1,700 for a 3-month prescription. And I called, and I'm sure many of you have dealt with this when it comes to dealing with customer service for any major corporation these days. The last time I dealt with OptumRx, I actually got help from somebody, a young lady, and she's the one that was able to get the Brilinta discount card accepted, and that was awesome. This time I called, and I have no problem with people from other countries, but when you throw out some location and I can tell the Indian accent, I'm pretty sure that my call has been shoveled to India. In any case, I called to explain my issue, and she's like, well, your prescription isn't up yet. It's not ready to be renewed. I go, well, I understand that. However, if you look at the records, it says once per day. It's only given twice per day. I don't know where the problem was, but I'm going to need a new prescription in 17 days. So she's like, oh, you might have to have this filled through your local pharmacy where they can do a manual override. And I was like, no, that ain't happening. It's not happening because I'm not going to pay $1,700 for 3 months. It was bad enough when I was paying $550 for 3 months.
Yep.
So I was like, no, you're going to make it work. I was polite about it. Assign a pharmacist that's, at the company to review and understand. They'll take one look, they'll understand, and they'll approve it. I go, but before we even do that, I need to give you my Entresto discount card. It's like an additional prescription plan code, and she didn't understand it, and she needed a phone number, all this rigmarole. And again, there was that slight language difficulty that if you were talking to somebody that was native with the language, and at least, or I should just say, just Native American culture, we communicate on levels that are different than with other English-speaking countries, right? We have our own
Or maybe regional too.
Maybe regional too.
Fast and like people from like other places often don't.
But
understand.
I've dealt with customer service down south or in the Midwest. I've never had issues. You can always get yourself understood, but sometimes English doesn't translate.
But sometimes it takes a lot of time saying it because we speak fast. And so you explain the whole thing.
Yeah.
And fast because you don't want to like take up all their time. And so then they're like, "You want what now?"
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, ma'am, what was that exactly you were saying? But how
do you spell it?
I'm not. Listen, I don't want to be. I could do the accent that I was hearing on the other side. I'm not going to. Some people might find it offensive. Yeah. I was just like, I was patient, but I could tell that she was getting a little frustrated, and she was trying to throw me or tell me to go elsewhere with my problems, and I was.
Yeah, she just didn't want to deal with it,
right?
And that comes through in any language that you speak.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was firm but polite, and I was insistent as to what needed to get done, and then she's like, "Oh, well, yeah, this might not come to you in time." I'm like, "Listen. It's got 17 days. That's 2.5 weeks. I really think that you should go through your local pharmacy.
They would be more thorough."
I'm like, no.
She just didn't want to be bothered.
Yeah. Well, as she's doing
like, this is going to be some work.
As she's doing this, all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, it was approved." Because what happened was it was reviewed by a pharmacist as we were having this discussion, why it was not being approved. So somebody went in and went, "Hey, there's no way 90 pill supply is going to last 90 days, but it's twice per day." Bingo. Thank you. But not only was it approved, but my discount card was approved. So what they were trying to charge me $1,700 for, and what I had been paying $550 every 3 months was suddenly $10. And I wanted to scream and jump, and I was calm. I was like, "Oh, thank you very much. You did a fine job." And I really don't know how much of the job was hers. But in any case, somebody behind the scenes made it work, and I'm happy. But there's frustrations involved in this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you have to speak to the pharmacist directly yourself, and they can't count.
And here's the thing,
I've had that.
I am on numerous prescriptions, okay, and I take medications morning and night, and I also take something else with meals. And the way my prescription plan works, they basically anything that's a maintenance medication, anything that isn't something that you're taking for short term, they want mail order. But I've actually found that certain of my prescriptions that they want to take mail order, I actually, by going through a local pharmacy using Good RX, I pay the same or less.
Which is pretty amazing.
So when it comes to your prescriptions, if it's a brand name, okay, so this is what I'm going to throw this advice out there to you all. If it's a brand name prescription that there is not a generic for, you are going to get raked over the coals. You are going to get unceremoniously fucked in your ass. I hope you don't mind that imagery, Rach.
Without Vaseline, to
it, or spit. I mean, there's going to be they're going. So now, what you got to do is, sometimes with some of these medications, there are alternatives that come very close to the prescription. There are, even my heart failure doc, when he was prescribing Entresto and Brilinta, said if you have a problem with the insurance, we could look into other alternatives. But these were the best, right? These are the best at what they do, and they're still under prescription. So,
like, it's under patent still. So
right. So now I didn't understand when
generic.
When I was first getting them filled, they were damn cheap by my local pharmacy. But then I was no longer allowed to go to my local pharmacy because the prescription plan said no. And then I got raked over my coals.
When they saw it going more than 3 months, they're like, "Oh no,
no!" So you have to go through us. And I didn't know that.
And they put a block in the pharmacy.
Right. Now. When I was in the hospital in back in May of 2020, I didn't know the hospital put me in for these discount plans. So it took me a while to figure out. I just thought, oh well, I guess your first 3 months. I guess my local pharmacy was biting the bullet to make me a customer, and now. Here's the prescription plan itself fulfilling it, and I'm getting pounded. Well, here's the reality. A lot of these brand name prescriptions will work with you, especially if you have an insurance for your prescriptions. And they have these, do a search for it. There are these discount cards, not just for Entresto, not just for Brilinta, but for other medications out there. And I'm going to tell you right now, maybe you better, it's easier when you're dealing with your local pharmacy, but the moment you go to mail order and you got to deal with some nameless,
far-flung,
faceless schlep across the world, you are as meaningless to them as they are to you. Okay, and you do, unlike your local pharmacist, who you might have a relationship with, you're not going to have a relationship with this
true
person on the other side. And part of my instinct was to turn into New York asshole, but I didn't do that, and I'm glad I didn't, because first off, it might have been satisfying at the time, but there's nothing more satisfying than being told that your prescription is going to cost around $1,700, and you going, I'd be happy just to pay $550 like you've been already screwing me with, and then finding out, oh, $10 for 3 months. That's a win-win, and that's money back in my pocket. Thank you. So that's the highlight of this week, medication wise.
So not going full New York asshole.
Yeah, no, if I'm not going full New York asshole or
paid
or. I mean, I think New York assholes are pretty much the biggest assholes you're gonna have in customer service. So, and having done customer service, I worked retail for 8.5 years before becoming a cop. I learned a lot about customer service, and I was not getting good customer service when I was being told take it to a local pharmacy and let them override. No, you do your fucking job. I didn't say it that way. So that's the prescription health aspect. The other part that I find very interesting, and it's still health, but it's stepping away from medication, was going to physical exercise. A huge shout out to Zach Glazer for putting a hole in my pocket. But the money I spent, I just got back, right? The money I spent on the Oculus. What exactly Oculus? Which one is it? I don't know if it says it on it. The Oculus Quest 2. I spent on this. The money I spent on that is pretty much the difference in what I was paying for the prescription and what I'm not paying for the prescription. Now, I'm not talking about the full boat rate meeting up for $1,700. I'm talking I was paying $550 every 3 months. You can get the Oculus Quest for about $300 or $400 if you go for the expanded memory. And I went in this with the idea of Zach was telling me that he gets a lot of exercise in with this. And I was like, this. I was happy with my Nintendo Switch and doing my boxing game. And it's reading, and that was.
But you haven't really played boxing in
a week.
Why?
I haven't played in a week and a half.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because
you've been playing with that.
And here's the great thing about this. Now, I've been doing Beat Saber. Now, there's another one, like an arrow defense game, which is a lot of fun. Does not give you much of a workout. A little bit, but not. This Beat Saber is you being a Jedi Knight, beating these 3D boxes that are coming at you. You know what? The concept is simple, but it is immersive, and you don't feel it. You feel it, but you don't feel. The boxing,
and they have good music. And it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It looks like
it is. Well, we're gonna put Rach through it. And here's the thing. The boxing was good, but it could become monotonous. And you would watch the timer count down and go, oh my God, I got 10 minutes of this exercise. Oh jeez. Oh my God. Oh my God. And here, songs last anywhere from 2.5 minutes to maybe 4.5. And you're like, but I'm like working up a sweat sometimes, and I was not working up a sweat with the boxing. And it's got you moving. You have you dodging left and right, dodging down. So it's giving you a lot of movements. The first day I really did it, I felt it the next day. I was like, I got to skip a day. So I think the Oculus Quest 2 is a fine choice. There's other games. There's a pixel dungeon game that made me motion sickness, which I would say is not a selling point. But this is spot on. The Arrow tower defense game is immersive and spot on. But this is the game so far. They have a John Wick game. I got my ass kicked real quickly.
Oh.
It looks like it'll be fun, but I can get lost in Beat Saber. So I'm getting a good workout, and I'm getting myself in a position where hopefully, Berlinta cost me $330 after insurance for a 30-day supply. Matt, I'm going to tell you, they wrote it's no reach around. You're getting slammed. I mean, like I said, they were looking nearly $17 for a 90-day supply. But Berlinta does have a discount code or discount
a
card.
card.
It's a card. It literally, you're going to give the information to the insurance company or to the pharmacist. That is like giving them another prescription insurance.
Sometimes your doctor will have the cards. Other times, you get it online.
Yes, but you can register for online. In this case, actually, I think the Berlinta code isn't a unique one. The Entresto is unique and it's assigned to you. Probably because
maybe you could hook them up.
But blood thinners suck. Lack of energy. Always cold. You know what? I was always warm, so it's kind of balanced out for me. I am now sleep with like the sheet. Like before this, Rach, I would sleep shirtless in my underwear in the middle of winter time and probably never pull a sheet up on me. Now I'm wearing a shirt when I go to bed. I'm pulling a sheet up, and sometimes a light blanket as the night goes on. Sometimes I even wear socks to bed, which I would never do. So yeah, blood thinners do suck. The lack of energy, I don't know. I don't know if I have as much energy as before, but I'm napping less than I used to. So there's a balance going on with that too. But I mean, one day I really should just sit down and give everybody a list of the medications I take because it's even too much for me to remember. Well, good for you, Matt. You got the VA to provide? Totally free now.
Nice.
You know what? If it's free, it's for me. But at this point, I'm paying $25 every 3 months. So compared to
that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. I'll take that. But yeah, you gotta do research because again, my hospital was great and that they set me up with this stuff, but they didn't tell me they set me up with this stuff. I had no idea. I just thought it should only cost $25 a month, $10 a month. Holy shit! 3 months it went $550, and what would they be charging me? If I
it was so stressful in the beginning.
Oh my god! I mean, I didn't lose
trying to get everything right. And
shit!
And then the cost of it,
So, but when I told my mother, it's like, oh, I'm glad I got my cost of prescriptions down. She's like, oh, expensive prescriptions, like, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, they wanted me to pay $1,700. She's like, what? I go, they wanted $1,700. I go, but and normally it was $550 for 3 months. She goes, $550? No, $550. I go, now it's 10, so it kind of balances out. You usually run hot, so the summer should be interesting. Here's what I found out, Matt, and this is interesting, and this is part of the observation. I went on Berlinta and Entresto and metformin, right, and Metropolo,
yes,
amongst other things. But these are the ones that affect the blood and circulation. I went on them in June. Normally, I would be.
And then you were like sort of between like injectable insulin.
Right. Yeah. The insulin.
It was a lot.
Yeah. But
because you weren't doing that before.
No.
You weren't. You barely took the medication before.
Yeah, I barely took my glipizide. It's like sugar pills, right? But I was generally. Rach, if I call myself a sweaty fuck, would that be the wrong way to phrase it, or?
You were quite a sweaty individual.
All right. I was quite a sweaty individual prior to all this. Now that I'm on this medication, was I as sweaty last summer?
No.
I mean, honest to God, when I used to work in an air-conditioned office. Usually by lunch, I was changing my golf shirt, hanging my sweaty golf shirt up by my locker to change into a dry golf shirt. So then I have a dry golf shirt, hopefully, to go home with at the end from the one that was sweated up in the morning. And that was even in the wintertime. I was sweating heavily in the wintertime. Now, I've dare I say I got dry pitch. I mean, I have Rach verify that, but I'm sure she has no interest in doing so.
Thank you.
But it might be interesting. But no, seriously, I used to just pour sweat to the point where I would drive and I'd be wiping sweat from my eyes, my glasses on. I don't pour sweat anymore. So I didn't even think of that. That is interesting. That's a good observation. So, but then again, Rach will tell you, she'll go, I'm cold, and I'll be like, I'm perfectly comfortable. Now, in the past, it might have been she'd say she's cold, and I might have gone, flicked sweat on the keyboard and gone, I'm hot. So there's a little bit of a difference here. But I'll pay more attention this summer. But I think that you might be right that the blood thinners make you run a bit cooler. I do know that my body temperature was always like, I don't know, a degree cooler on average. So like 98.6 for the average person. I was usually like a 97.4. But now, because you take your COVID, you take COVID, got to take your temperature before you go shoot himself in the head. You got to take your temperature every time you walk into any kind of doctor's office
or into a building.
Yeah.
Like I went in to pick up my yoga stuff, like some props that I went to pick up from my studio, and we walked into the building. It's on the 15th floor, and before you can even get towards the elevators, you are at a device that will take your temperature before you can even enter.
Did you see what your temperature was?
No, they didn't say. They just said,
you passed.
Go on.
You passed. I mean, they take my temperature, and this is going back. I mean, I noticed this back over the summertime. They take my temperature, I'd be like 97, 96. Now in the time, 95, because you're coming in from the outdoors. So I don't know how accurate it would be, but I think that maybe I am running colder. I could probably take my temperature randomly.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, a lot of these buildings in the city, like even the one in one of my doctors where we went back in November, the guard took my temperature.
Yeah. No, I can't walk into a medical office. I shouldn't say that. My cardiologist and my heart failure specialist, both the cardiologists, they don't take your temperature. Okay, they don't give a flying fuck. But I walk into my endocrinologist office, your temperature's taken before you can step fully through the doorway. My temperature was also taken at the orthopedist. Yes, I go see too many doctors. Oh my God, too many doctors.
My social life, doctors.
Yeah, like you say. If it wasn't for doctors, I'd have no social life. All right. Now, on to the cardiologist thing. I went to my cardiologist this week. Everything's looking good. He's thinking, again, after this drama of getting my prescription drama fixed, right, and the refill done, he wants to up it to the max. I'm hoping that I can tell him to hold off for at least 3 months. Because one thing I have noticed since I've upped the Entresto is that I scratch much easier if I'm scratching my eyebrow, and then I'm at my sister's house walking in, and she's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "You got a huge scratch, bleeding scratch." I'm looking in the mirror. It's like somebody came along and slapped me in the head, or when I was shaving with the electric razor, I nicked myself, and it took a day for it to finally clot up. I don't know if it's going to be even worse if I go on to the maximum dose of Brilinta. So I might tell him to just give it full 3 months. Let's see how the body tolerates it.
Yeah.
But he was telling me, because I told him that I got my.
Because you're not able to use the.
I can. I use it for touch-ups.
You do? Okay.
Nobody told me I couldn't use it.
No. Okay.
Except for my wife. She's like, you can't. No.
I was asking you a question.
No. You told me you were good though. You can't use you can't use a straight, your regular razor anymore. You got to use the electric, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I guess I can't. But sometimes you got to just touch up because it doesn't always. You got to get the real blade out once in a while, But that's why I bought the barber's helper, So now if I nick myself, I can just do a little touch up, and maybe you won't bleed all over the place. But my cardiologist, I mentioned that I'd gotten my first shot, and for the immunization for COVID, got the Pfizer. He goes, "When did you get it?" I said, "Like 8 days ago." He goes, "You're right in the cusp." I go, "The cusp?" Because at 10 days after that shot, after your first shot, he goes, "You're immunized." He goes, "So basically, what that means is that if you do come down with COVID, it's COVID that you were exposed to after the shot. Those first 10 days, you can still come down with COVID that you were infected with before the shot. It could hit you hard, but because if you get infected after that shot, you've built up enough immunity that you should avoid hospitalization or any kind of serious illness because it shouldn't be worse than a bad cold. And after your second shot, you should be pretty damn good."
I mean, we don't want it at all.
We don't want it at all, is right. But he's like, him and his wife did all the social distancing. Now that they both had their second shot, he goes, "We're eating out at restaurants again." He goes, "We got to support these businesses." And
sure, yeah, totally.
And that's part of it too. I mean, listen, there's a huge mental health aspect to shutting down businesses, to shutting down states, to shutting down religious services, or restricting them. There's a huge mental health aspect. And actually, I wound up talking about that with my cardiologist. I don't know why we have these conversations. I don't mind them. Don't get me wrong. I actually enjoy them. But they're interesting conversations to have with a cardiologist. And he was saying that, he does a lot of reading on the subject, and he sees that, teen suicide rates have spiked.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're seeing additional stress with some of your teenage clients.
Yeah, definitely. It's not good. It's not good for them.
And he also pointed out something that I hadn't even thought of, but I do find very interesting. And it's that, in a way, as much as we refer to schools sometimes as babysitters and nannies, they are also, generally speaking, the only outside observers of what's going inside.
Yeah, definitely.
The family situation. If a kid is
child abuse.
If there's child abuse or child neglect going on, often it's the school that catches it, not neighbors.
Yes.
It's the schools.
Yeah.
And with distant learning, with virtual learning, you don't have that ability, and it's interesting and it's scary. Now, thankfully, our niece Shannon is back. She's learning. She's back in school. Her distance learning was the end of last year, and I think the beginning of this year, and then they went hybrid, and then they went back fully in December, and it's good. But as my doc was saying, he goes,
and she's happy to be there.
But it's not just emotional, but it's the scholastic aspect. He goes, and he goes, listen, because I live in a well-to-do neighborhood, and so and he goes, it's a decent public schools, but when the public schools shut down, he goes, people in my neighborhood were hiring full-time tutors for their kids.
Yeah, and then what happens with these kids that
don't have
the families can't hire tutors,
right,
or they're not able to be as present as somebody else might be, or don't have the same confidence, scholastically, and then it's like, I have some kids that, their teachers beg them to lie to them and say they did the assignment.
Tell me you did it. Please tell me you did it.
And it's a good kid, so I feel bad to lie to them. And
I didn't do shit.
Now they're asking me to lie.
Just sign on the line.
Say it and sign. Just write you did it.
I'll give you full credit.
Yeah, or just make sure you sign it so the state so that the school gets credit from the state that this kid is there.
Learning.
Yeah,
something.
And they're not. It's not good.
And this is New York City. My niece is out in Nassau County, different school districts, different stuff. But we see that across the country. We see that across the world. And it's going to be a generation that's going to be scarred by it. I mean, my son...
Lost generation. People call it.
Yeah. I mean, my son, he was like 7. No, wait. 2001. Yeah,
He was
eight.
93.
Eight. So he was 8 years old
Yeah.
when 9/11 happened, and that affected him greatly. He was afraid to go into tall buildings for a while for a fear a plane would crash into it. These kids are going to be scarred by the whole mask, and as Shannon said it, just mask up. Be a man and mask up. But there comes a time when you're going to have not just mask anxiety, but mask weariness. And I mean, listen, again, quoting my doctor doesn't mean that he's right. It doesn't mean that I'm right by quoting him. He's like, how do you encourage people to get the shot when you tell them you've had your 2 shots, it's now 2 weeks after your second shot, and you still have to wear a mask for the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, some of them will say, like some of the people that I speak to, they're just, well, if it doesn't mean that I can take the mask off, why am I going to get it then?
Right, and you know what? And that's a valid point.
But then other people do change their minds. You know, other people like, I usually disclose that I got it, you know, because they ask about it. We have to give them some education about it when we speak to them for their sessions. And, you know, like they'll ask questions about it. Oh, did you get it? You know, that's usually the standard. Usually, like when people ask about your experience, you usually skirt around it. No, what does it mean that you are interested? But not this. I usually just say like, oh yeah, I had it, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and you know what the experience was like, and you know, because I had a relatively good experience. You know, they ran it really well. You know, my only issue was like muscle pain and some tiredness, maybe a headache the evening of the injection. And then, you know, but they're like, oh, okay, just that. You know, and they'll be like, well, all right, you know, or sometimes they'll be like, let me think about it, you know, because like I can help them now we have this special arrangement for people who have psychiatric disorders or chemical dependency issues. Our our state government made it so that people in these groupings that meet the criteria otherwise are able to get the injection done at like the state psychiatric centers. So we have our Creedmoor here. And so like we talk about helping them get to, you know, how they're going to get to Creedmoor and stuff. And, you know, they're like, oh, you can get me an appointment. I don't have to fuck around with this city website.
Yeah.
Let's go. So yeah, they're usually happy to get the appointments now. So, you know, it's kind of good.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually surprised.
It's good to share about it.
I mean, listen, everybody in my family, my parents have had their 2 shots. Rach has her second shot next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I get my second shot a week from this coming Tuesday. But if we hadn't, the NYPD on Wednesday was offering shots without an appointment to retirees that met the criteria. You had to meet the state criteria. Be over 65, have one of the conditions comorbidities that were listed. But then on Thursday afternoon, they expanded that list, and it was anybody who qualified otherwise by the state. And you could also be your family members. It could be your children, your spouse, or any family member living in a household with you, or outside of your household, parents, parents-in-law, and grandparents. Because part of the problem is in getting these people that are qualified otherwise to get the shots is that it's no appointments. And apparently, so the NYPD, I guess on Wednesday, just getting the retirees, they weren't getting enough. So they opened this up on Thursday, and then within 24 hours, Friday afternoon, it was supposed to run at 6 o'clock. Friday afternoon at 3:30, it got shut down because they were out of shots. But that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
That people are coming, that people want it, and you know, we can have more freedom once all that's done.
So, I mean, I actually feel, again, I'm past the cusp, as my doctor put it, that I can go out in public, and maybe Rich and I can go out to lunch at our pub and sit what we call the confessional in the back and not really expose yourself to anything, because we will be effectively immunized against serious illness.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you want to give back to your community. You want to give back. I mean, a pub is actually a community. We have friends there.
Well, you want to see your people.
Yes.
But then you also want to financially support this, like, as it's, you know, also like part of our history. We had a lot of our courting there. We got
and
we had our reception there,
Yeah.
and it's a big deal to us. It is community.
Yeah. So that's like the week in review. I don't know how much more you want us to shove into that. Yeah.
You have to give me some training about videoing.
Oh yeah, Rach's gonna be videoing her yoga, and
I'm working on my voice.
well, here's the thing, folks.
So that we get it down pack, and that
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
I sound good. My bowls sound good, and the directions sound good. So playing with that, playing it back for myself, and then going further and
well, and here's the thing, folks.
Posting.
Once Rach gets this stuff down, she needs to do it she's doing it for her class, but she's going to be doing it for the community, the gaming community, the tabletop gaming community.
Yeah, we can just kind of open it up, like some of the stuff that I'm getting for the work people.
Yeah. So
whatever you do for work.
So when you actually catch up and you actually see this episode, these will be recorded. So it means that when you come off your shift at work and you want to do your yoga, because I can't, for those looking at home, I can't lift my arm straight up anymore.
But you don't have to. You lift it to where you can lift.
Well, yeah, but me and yoga, actually, you know what? I'm able to move better. I'm actually
and yoga. No.
Here's the thing, folks. Between the boxing game and actually now doing the Beat Saber,
yeah.
I'm getting my sense of balance back, which I gotta say is huge too. My balance got screwed between my sciatica and then by putting on 70 pounds plus of water weight when I had the congestive heart failure. Because your body adjusted it. Now I lost that weight quickly after I put it on for a long time. So now even 6-9 months later, my sense of balance isn't what it was, but I'm relearning it now because
I've never had good balance.
Beat Saber is beating my ass and getting me into better shape.
Well, yeah, and with yoga, you don't have to, a lot of times people think, oh, it's for people that are flexible. It's like
flexible.
Sometimes, because I have problems with my joints. I have I'm an overextender. Like a lot of my joints have further range of motion than usual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they're loosey goosey. So
loosey goosey.
Yeah, which is something that can have somebody be more prone to injury in yoga. So I need to give myself controls and rails, use walls for my downward facing dog, or to give myself okay, there's the limit. No more. Don't go any more than that. So yeah, just like that, there's modifications that could be done for anyone.
Well, and
in whatever situation they're in. That's why true. Joni comes with chairs and, right. there's a right yoga for everybody.
Well, and folks, and that's a good point too, because you know what? Well, part of my working out with the Oculus 2 or even with the Nintendo Switch, I'm frequently, every 5 minutes or so, checking my pulse. I want to see my heart rate. And there's a reason for that. I don't want to go to the point where I'm pushing my heart too much. Although my doc did say, get it up into the 130s, 140s. You wouldn't want to go beyond that, maybe. I haven't come close. So that's a good sign, I guess, or a good thing to know. But I do, I like to be observant. I like to keep that limit in mind. Wow. I wonder if I earned any exercise doing this. No, I didn't. I thought I'm out of breath. I'm
well, maybe we should attach something to your job.
No. Yeah, I talk so fucking much, folks. Yeah, I think we hit the mark today. I really think we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, neither one of us are medical professionals. I quoted from a medical professional. Doesn't mean that he's right. And I'm not naming my doctor because
it's just food for thought.
It's food for thought. It's options that you should know. Do your own research, but most importantly, use your fucking common sense. Okay? It's a skill, a talent, inborn that many of us ignore. Or you hear it talking in your head and you go, fuck it. What does it know? Well, you know what? Your common sense.
Start to trust your own inner wisdom.
I'm not telling you, what protections to take from COVID aside. Use your common sense. Okay,
If you fall into a high risk group, if you
might need to take more precautions.
yeah.
Your level of common sense will tell you. All right, like listen, if you don't know how to swim, you're not going to tie a lead weight around your waist and jump into the deep end of the pool. That's not.
Damn, that sounds like a really bad idea.
Really does, right? That would be a real lack of common sense if you think about it. So you just, that's all I'm saying. I'm sorry, a little bit extreme. 10 cars after
I don't know
dark.
that anybody would really want to do that, even if you knew how to swim.
Yeah, well, true. But in any case, use your common sense. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. You know what? Hold on. I can't reach the wood, but I'm knocking on cork. I'm knocking on.
In the press wood for you.
Yeah, no, that's not real wood. That's not pressed. Here, there we go. Knock it on cork. You see?
But I knocked on the real wood for you.
Yeah, no, you knocked on the real wood for me. So we got it covered. B, we got it covered, folks. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for chiming in. Appreciate it. Laramie, again, I think you're probably like a month behind because of all the fucking live streams I did back in February. But when you get up here, we dedicate this to you. All right, and to all the healthcare workers out there, and all the emergency workers, and all the essential workers, you bust your ass to make sure folks like myself and Rach in the high risk category don't have to necessarily put ourselves in a high risk situation before we get fully immunized. All right. On that note, I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, and I'll see you then. I'll be working on showing Rach how to do videos because I'm such the expert.
You are.
I haven't fucking edited shit on this stuff.
Well, I don't even know how to turn it on and like make it record you. So
there you go.
You're farther along than me.
There we go. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. All righty. Laters.